Hey everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Raw Dogs. We are part of the Tokyo Beat Podcast Network. Check out all the other amazing shows. And today is the final day of Indie Games Month. Very excited for today's episode. I'm Brad, and I love video games.
My name's Dylan, and I'm currently obsessed with Pikmin 4. It's going to be a problem for me.
I'm Tyler, and I'm severely sleep deprived.
Why?
Because it's Tyler.
Because it's me.
Oh.
Another long night of work?
Well, yeah, I've been pulling like 10, 11-hour days, and then I had to play a bunch of indie games all month. So I've had 60-hour work weeks.
Yeah, but it's good work.
The other 20 hours on top of the work, been fun work.
Okay.
Good work.
I mean, I'm not angry about it.
And we're joined by a wonderful guest, a good friend of mine, a friend of the show. We're here with RubieHart.
Hi, how's it going?
Ruby, we're great, and we're so happy to have you here. What's up with you today?
Oh, God. I've been putting way too many hours into Diablo 4. I was never part of the Diablo train, and I've been playing it co-op with my partner, and now I am obsessed. So that's been,
what
that's
class
been pretty
are you
great.
rocking?
Oh, barbarian all the way. When I was younger, I very much went like the spell casting classes. And then I think it was somewhere in like that high school, college era that I went, you know what? No, I want to run in and just hit everything as hard as is humanly possible and kind of never look back. So I basically based this character on a D&D barbarian I played, and it's been amazing. So it is full on like as much bleeding and berserking as is humanly possible, constantly popping up a bubble anytime I can for defense. And I have the really awesome ult that Iron Maelstrom that lets me just use all of my weapons in a huge fucking radius. It's incredible. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Barbarian in this one. So you're doing a Rend build with a mix of berserking?
Yeah, so definitely Rend, adding in a little berserking, but for me it's a lot more like as much bleeding damage as possible.
Yeah.
And then I have additional abilities that the more bleeding damage I'm doing and the more damage I'm doing to elites, the longer my berserking goes. So they just kind of all play off of each other. It's real nice.
I'm the only person not playing Diablo.
I've stopped.
Yeah?
I took a break for an entire month.
Well, Indie Games Month took up a lot of time.
And the patch was apparently not very good, but Blizzard's going to roll it back. So
I've heard the patch was terrible.
yeah, my buddy who's like, I think he's in Paragon somewhere. He's got over 100 hours in, said it was terrible, but Blizzard is going to walk it back. So
Well, yeah, because not only was it just, it took everything that people had been working for of finally going from, I feel completely underpowered and helpless in Helltide to finally, yes, I have now reached the level where I don't feel horrible about going into Helltides. And the day after my partner and I had that experience was when the update came out, and on top of everything else, there was also the glitch of nothing dropping fucking cinders, so there was no point of going in the first place.
I think my theory was that they were going to introduce some like crazy OP armor or weapons or something in the season 1, and they were trying to account for that, so they wanted to make the game harder until you got there, but that was just my theory.
Speaking of big budget video games, let's switch the topic over here.
Come on, Brad.
We've done this.
kidding.
We've done this every episode so far this month, where we just talk about AAA titles for a little bit. But we are at the end of Indie Games Month, and we're playing a very cool, very simple, straightforward card game. Nothing weird about it. This was voted by our Patreon supporters.
Our community.
Our community was the ones who they submitted titles, and this is the one that won the vote. All the titles I was excited for, but today we're talking about Inscryption, and like I said, very simple deck card building game. Nothing weird about it, and that's it for the spoiler talk. We're into spoilers now. If you haven't played this game, you should play that before listening, because there are a lot of cool twists. But
I don't know how anyone wrote a review for this without being like, come on now, what am I supposed to do? There's just too much going on. I mean, how do you review it? Card builder with a metatextual element.
It's a found footage horror card building game.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like I'm in Mark Duplass's movie Creep. That's a pretty accurate description if you've seen that.
I've never seen that one.
See, that's very accurate. The way I would try and describe it to friends is imagine if you took a deck builder but made it creepypasta the video game that just, as soon as you think you have it figured out, no, there's another level deeper and another level deeper. And that's what I loved about it, was that like old video game creepypasta vibe. Ugh, it's so good.
Yeah, well, let's jump right in. This was my first time playing it. Tyler, you as well?
Yep.
Did you finish it?
Nope.
No. How far are you?
17 or 18 hours.
Where are you at?
I'm in Stoat's got control of the game, and I've beaten 2 of the bosses.
You're in
I'm in the cyberpunk.
You're in the
5 lanes.
cyber
Yeah.
world. Okay. Well, you're almost there. Then you know most of what's happening. It's
Yeah, I
pretty
figured
close.
I'd bite the bullet and just get spoiled. I tried real hard. I went
so
to
far.
work, and then I came home, and I played every night till like 3 a.m. And once we get further into it, I'll explain what my frustration was. But when we get there, we get there.
For me, I was told by Dylan here, it's not too long of a game, and it isn't, but I misunderstood what that meant. So I thought that the first section was the whole game. So I got to like that final battle with Leshy. I was like, oh, I'm staying up a little later. And then the switch happens, and I'm like, I'll get through this within 3 hours. And I got there, and I'm like, so close, and then I stayed up very late. I essentially accidentally beat this within 24 hours, and I didn't get a lot of sleep, but it was a heck of a good time. Dylan, have you played it before?
Yes, I have. I played it the moment it dropped on the Switch eShop. I would love to play this on PC because I think that actually adds an element to it, because it ostensibly is about like hard drives and point and clicks, and when you're playing it on the Switch, it kind of takes away from it. Like this is a game that was destined for Steam, and I actually would have preferred playing it on Steam if I had a working computer. Where did you play it, Ruby?
Yeah, so it was a game that was introduced to me back, I want to say, in October. I was trying to find creepy games to play around Halloween, but I'm very notoriously horrible with horror games, even though I speedrun Phasmophobia because out of spite and friendship. But my friend Jade said, no, trust me, play this game, go in with no spoilers, just have fun. It fits the season, and I became so obsessed because I was the person who loved reading like Ben Drowned and Pokemon Curse Black, like those stories, and it reminded me of that. And I feel like for a few months, anytime that I was playing a different game, I just wanted to be playing Inscryption. And so, fun fact, I actually did have the chance. I fully played it on PC and didn't know there was another way to play. So when certain fights came up, I was horrified thinking that, actual parts of my computer were going to be compromised, but I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. So yeah, played it a few months ago, and I've gotten pretty deep in Casey's mod too, but that's it's a whole other animal.
Yeah, for people that don't know, Ruby is a speedrunner, so she likes those torturous mods of the games.
Yeah, anything that's like take a very, very big boss that should be really hard to beat and beat it as quickly as possible. That's the kind of shit I speedrun, and then Overcooked because it looks fun and innocent on the outside, but is actually horrifically difficult and panic-inducing once you get into it, and I love that pain for some reason.
But have you ever worked in a kitchen, Ruby?
Fun fact, I have not, but I have. So because I've been in the theater industry for years, I have so many friends who have that I would regularly go visit them at work. And I would get the panic just by association of being in the room. So yeah, I've been around that environment, but I've never worked in a kitchen myself.
I find that people who play this game generally have never been a cook during a rush. It's a fun game, but I cannot do it.
Tyler's having Vietnam flashbacks over here right now.
It wigs me out. And it's the same thing when they have like kind of an open concept kitchen, and I hear that receipt machine go, and it's the next order on the line.
You never can
just
stop
like,
hearing it.
No.
Yeah. Well, when I play with my brother, we both worked in the same kitchen together, and we are like a well-oiled machine. There's a lot of behind hands tossing, like a lot of kitchen communication. And then I play with someone who's not worked in a kitchen, and I'm like, get the fuck on your side. Stay in your lane.
Fry. Why are you leaving the fryer?
You chop.
Well, let's get out of the kitchen.
Oh my God.
And get into a cabin.
Yeah.
Inscryption was released October 19th, 2021 for Windows. It came to Linux and Mac June 2022, arrived on the PS4 and 5 August of that year, Switch of December of last year, and it did arrive on the Xbone and Series X April 10th of this year. This is from Daniel Mullins Games. He is a prolific creator. He is someone who has made games that are very beloved and all quite challenging. He participated in a game jam in 2018 with the theme being Sacrifices Must Be Made. A prototype of the first part came from that. He had recently gotten into Magic the Gathering, took some influences from there, and that was put online at ich.io and drew interest from players in early 2019. That's kind of the development things. It came from a game jam. He made like a unicorn.
Pony Island, and it's amazing.
What is it?
Oh, so Pony Island, if you look at the vibe of Inscryption and kind of reel it back a little bit. So Pony Island is this game that looks like it's about unicorns and friendship, and you get into it and it's like, insert coin to play another level. All right, insert coin to sell your soul and continue playing. And you go, wait, what? I hang on. And it very much like Inscryption, where it has this meta narrative that is a lot more sinister than just a card game. Pony Island is about basic arcade games, but gets more and more menacing as you move forward until you find out that you are a soul trying to break out all these other souls stuck in hell, forced to play this game over and over and over again. So Pony Island is like where a lot of the original roots of Inscryption began before Inscryption really came out into the forefront.
I feel like this guy is really trying to take that myth of the Polybius machine, and really just bring that into real life.
We're going to talk about alternate reality stuff here, because it goes way off into nonsense land through the game. Act 1, though, the most interesting, one of the curious things how the game starts. You go to start the game and there's no new game.
No.
Yeah.
You have to. You sit there and you're like, I guess I'll continue, and we'll figure out why it's stuck like that later on. But Dylan, what happens when you start the game up? Continue the game, anyways.
If I remember correctly, you start out in the cabin, and what you find out is Leshy challenges you to a game, and you have to sit there. You've got a bare bones deck, and he just proceeds to tell you a bunch of rules in sequence as you move along. You upgrade your cards, you go down the path, and then you're faced with, I believe, the miner first.
Well, you start off, yes, it's Leshy, this set of eyes at first. All you see is a set of eyes across the board, which
very spooky.
Speaks in like bass tones, and they're teaching you how the game works with your cards, and so you start off with squirrels are your base. They can't really attack. They have a certain number of squirrels have to be killed in order to get anything on the board. Generally,
well, it's sacrifice in general. That's like the idea. Each one has a certain like blood cost, or like if you sacrifice them, that's how much can go into the next card, which might be more powerful. Which is cool, but you have to have quite a few squirrels, which are basically free cards.
And you learn about the sacrifice, and you have to kill this stoat card, and then it comes up in your next hand, and he's like, I can't believe you sacrificed me.
How dare you?
And suddenly the card starts talking back.
That part is really interesting. I also love how kind of laissez-faire this guy is. He's like, you can get up and walk around if you want. I'm not actually torturing you. Actually, you can just go up and you can take a look around. I'm not even going to bother you if you touch a bunch of stuff.
And then because at first it just seems like this person's running like a D&D campaign, because as you're progressing through these levels, there's this moment where you realize Leshy is just putting on different masks and pretending to be these different characters. And it's very unsettling.
Yeah.
Yeah, those masks are all super creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the angler was the scariest one.
I played this game on my TV, my big TV in the living room with the lights off, my LEDs on like dark red, very, very dark, with my headphones on. And that is a good way to play this game. It kind of sucks you right into it. So every time he changes the mask and he leans in or he like comes at you with the hook, it was fear-inducing. It was really creepy. And especially the audio design is so well done, especially if you're wearing headphones, because it is relentless.
Let's be honest. Did you play this baked?
No. I did play it one night, very drunk.
Oh, okay.
I will say the moment that really terrified me the most in that first section, when Stoat first talks to you and is like, hey, that power up, give it to me. Give it to me. I played this on stream and no joke, just sat there and went, nope, this is fishy. I don't like this guy. I feel like something's going to go wrong here. And can I say I was right? We'll get to that. But the items were the other thing that really fucked with me, because at first it seems like the pliers, these very basic items could be very useful for when you're playing this card game. And spoiler chat, spoiler listener, if you need to go in with any trigger warnings, the sound of ripping out your own tooth and the horrifying, like, red bloody vision afterwards.
I love it.
It's amazing and incredibly disconcerting if you're not expecting it.
So the games, you win by inflicting damage upon the other player.
When they don't have a defensive card on the opposite side.
So, if there's a card across from you, you have to take down that card unless you have an airborne sigil, which lets you go right over. But when you inflict damage, a bone, like a tooth, drops into a scale, and you need to get 5 on that scale, so the scale can go back and forth. But like you had mentioned, you can get these tools like a pliers and pull out your own tooth, and it'll drop down in there and give you a little advantage. There's a few other items you can get. Like there's a bottle that has extra squirrel cards.
A fan. Make all your creatures airborne.
Yep.
I like that.
The hook, which you get right after the angler fight, which is a really big one, where you can take a card from the other side and pull it over to your side of the map. So you essentially steal something from the opposition.
I had a hard time with that boss fight at first.
The angler is tough.
Yeah.
I needed to use the hourglass for that one.
Smart.
Hourglass will skip your opponent's turn, and then I think the other one is the pig, the bone pig, where
the piggy bank?
The piggy bank, where you get 4 bones if you sacrifice the pig.
And, there's also the dagger item. This one cuts your eye out and gives you 4 points.
Gnarly.
And then you can also get the green blob bottle, and as soon as you try and use it, Leshy's like, nope, that's not allowed. Leshy's pretty generous with rules. He's always like, I'll allow it, except for the green blob bottle, who we learn later on is a fucking whole thing.
Yes.
Yep. We mentioned some of the sigils. There are such things as sharp quills. When you're struck, a damage is dealt back to a character. Fledgling is where you grow into a more powerful form after one turn. My favorite, though, is the bifurcated strike, where you attack both left and right.
Yep.
Or if you're lucky, you can also get the trifurcated strike, whatever it's called. That's a rare one.
That one's super rare.
But super powerful.
That's the first one that you see with the mantis, right? That's their ability that you can then add to other cards. Yeah.
That is probably my favorite card, just because I'm obsessed with praying mantises.
So the encounters, we have the normal card vendor where you turn over 3 cards. The creature card, where you choose between 3. The creature card, you pick between 3 different kinds of creatures. Blood card, you choose blood levels. But then there's also things like the card power-up, where there's a bonfire with a bunch of starving settlers. And they're like, put your animal on the fire, let it warm up a bit. And I never had one of my animals eaten because I got too afraid. But I did power it up a little bit.
I had 1 eaten. Well, 2 technically. 1 eaten on accident because I was getting greedy. And then because we talked at Chill in the Hill, I put the poison one down.
Yep, so there's a trick with these guys. If you feed them an adder, a long elk, or a ringworm, all of them die. And I know, right?
I had it happen.
That's amazing.
And then the next time you see the fire, it's completely open, and you can get 5 free upgrades before Leshy's like, we gotta stop, dude.
Yeah.
Even Leshy won't let that happen.
I had a wolf that could do try.
Oh my god.
And it was so low cost, and it could fly.
The flying wolf with 3 attacks.
Yeah. It was... I did it on accident, too. I fed them the adder.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I would pick up the Mantis God because he had the try attack.
You want to power him up.
No, I would power him up unless at the very beginning of my run I could sacrifice him to move his sigil to a more powerful card. So then very early in the game I'd have something that hit like 4/3 or there's one card that's 7/7. 7/7 with a try attack. All I need is 4 blood. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, especially when you have to face the moon. You gotta be beefy.
You can also run into the woodcutter, where you can choose a new head or body for your totem. Totems are little power-up guys you can get. The trapper will trade your teeth for pelts, and then the trader will trade pelts for cards. The trapper and the trader is the same mask. He just puts it on upside down.
Which is really dope.
Yeah, I like that. Death in this game is okay. You're going to lose a lot. It's kind of designed for you to lose at first.
Yes.
Tyler, what happens when you die the first time?
You wake up in a room.
Well, what happens? What happens on the playing board?
Well, the scale tips your way because he's beaten you, and then the deck disappears. Everything disappears, and then whoever you're playing, it's Leshy all the time, but they'll have a mask on sometimes. The adder, the
miner,
prospector, whatever.
Yeah, prospector.
Then they reach over the board, all creepy like, and they grab you.
And one of your candles goes.
Yep. And then you wake up in a creepy room. And
Scary room.
Leshy is standing in the doorway to take your photo for your death card.
And that's when I was like, this is a very fucked up game.
It's very Toy Box Killer, if anyone knows true crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're trapped in this room. There's a blinking light. You'll find out much later on what the blinking light is, maybe. But yeah, he takes your picture and then you design your own death card. So mine were all like, I named them Bard. There's Bard 2, Bard 3.
I did the same thing. I did Tyler Jr., Tyler the 3rd, Tyler the 4th.
Because I wanted to keep track of which ones were which.
Yeah.
I named them after people in my household.
I did.
This one's Goblin.
Yes. This one is Schneebs.
I did have a Frankie, a Devin, and a Gerard card.
Ooh, because Gerard Way lives with you.
He lives right here all the time.
He's
I'm
a big
pointing
My
at my
Chemical
heart.
Romance guy.
Loves his comic book writing, too.
Oh yes.
That's incredible. The first one was named Ruby, and then after that, the people who didn't know what this game was in chat, I would let them put out their name and have them be one of the death cards.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, hearing people talking about the game like, oh, I don't know what's happening, and me going, yes, we're getting murdered. This one's now your soul. What? But also having the really amazing attacks. I think one of the best cards that we made that way was a no blood sacrifice cost at all, no bone cost. It did 4 damage, had 6 health, and it was bifurcated.
Yeah.
That's what you want right there.
It was absolutely wild how that RNG worked out.
Yeah, the death cards are a way that they kind of guarantee you'll start progressing further, because once you get those good death cards, it kind of ensures you're going to get further along. Yeah.
A lot of roguelike elements in this.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of like because it reminds me a bit of Monster Train. And I know that's like designed to kind of be that way, but it also kind of reminds me of Slay the Spire in that same exact way. Have you guys ever played Slay the Spire?
No.
If you like deck building games, Slay the Spire is wonderful.
I've played 2 deck building games. I played Inscryption and Pokemon the trading card game for the Game Boy Color.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Which this game does turn into.
It does turn into that exact game.
That is aesthetic anyways, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the zones? Yeah.
So you're going to have some bosses you run into. You run into the Prospector, who is just creepy, miner guy, old-fashioned gold miner.
There's gold in them cards.
There's gold in them there cards. Of course. You got my mule. The Angler, who we mentioned. The second phase, he places chum buckets in every space that has a card, and they spawn great whites. This gets very difficult. Then there's the third boss, the Trapper and the Trader. Before you do move on to Leshy, before we fight Leshy, though, let's talk a little bit about the cabin. Mm-hmm. Do you remember your first time wandering around the cabin, Ruby?
Yeah, I was very disoriented at first because with how grand the map looks. Like you were saying, Brett, it looks like someone has laid out a D&D map. Exploring the rest of the room was very different. It felt very cabin in the woods. Oh, I'm just here with the person who's going to murder me. But as soon as you start looking through like the rule book that's to the side, for example, and see codes written inside, that's when I started realizing, oh, every single one of these is a puzzle that I'm eventually going to be able to figure out. Mm-hmm. So that first time wandering the cabin, I basically threw myself at as many of the codes and puzzles as I possibly could before I realized, okay, I have to go back to the game. And one of the things we mentioned is this game rewards you for death. You're meant to die a bunch of times. And not only do they empower you as you go forward with the death cards of this combination of a bunch of different abilities and scores in the deck you've already made, but as you go through the card game further and further, you also get additional things that you can do to interact with the cabin. So one of the moments that really stands out to me is that item we mentioned of being able to carve your own eye out to get the extra score. And Lacey puts out a box in front of you saying, hey, why don't you pick another eye? And one of them is definitely not like the others. And you use it to solve another puzzle in the cabin that's been sitting there in front of you the entire time, but you had no way to solve it until that moment. Just, it's really smart how it lays everything in front of you right at the beginning, but you never know how you're going to solve things until you get further.
How did you guys feel about the controls within the cabin? Because they wigged me out.
The way you look around?
Yes, where it's built on kind of a grid that you kind of move through, like Sorcerers of Might and Magic style.
Yeah.
I was expecting that I could just like walk around and just, dawdle, but it was just like, nope, it's just a series of screens that you swipe between.
Yeah. I liked it enough. It was fine. It served its purpose.
Yeah. It's not a huge place either, so it didn't like bother me, but it also kind of, I was just like, whoa, wait a minute.
I did get disoriented the first time I got up from the table to look around, and I stumbled over by the puzzle cabinet over in the corner, and I got kind of turned around and lost, and I ended up turning around, and Leshy was just right there staring at me, and it freaked me out.
And yeah, at this point, we haven't even seen Leshy's face.
No,
it's just those eyeballs.
Yeah.
It doesn't help when you see his face, though, either.
No, it's worse.
In the cabin, there will be a safe. Like you mentioned, you get the combination from the manual.
Yeah.
And if you don't find it naturally, the stoat will tell you to go look for it. So they do want you to find it. You need to, because that's where the stink bug card is. And this one talks to you as well. There are the puzzle box, where there's 4 puzzles involving finding a specific attack power. Tyler, we talked about this the other day. I kind of just flipped things around a lot. I didn't really think about it strategically.
I figured it out much later in the game.
Yeah.
Because I was so tired of just moving the blocks around until it worked. Because you can do it.
Yeah.
There's not very many options, especially when they lock some of them. Mm-hmm. But I did you figure it out?
Yeah, I figured it out later on. Some of the puzzles that happen later in the game, much later, they are based on that same thing, and I did not get them.
Yeah, it's tough. It's essentially just it's your deck. It's the board.
Mm-hmm.
But this box gets you the skink card, the worker ant and the ant queen, the caged wolf, and the squirrel totem. Our caged wolf, you need to take into battle and sacrifice it. The screen shakes. Back in the cabin, the wolf in the cage beside the puzzle box is no longer in a cage. You place the wolf beside the squirrel, which unlocks the knife item. You need this to cut your eyeball out. As it makes perfect logical sense. Mm-hmm. The cuckoo clock puzzle.
I love that one.
That's where you get the stunted wolf card, our final talker. And
It's my favorite.
Tyler probably doesn't know this yet, but what happens to those cards, Dylan, throughout the game? Do you remember what happens
They
to
become
them?
like villains, right?
Well, they start changing the way they look throughout
I know
Act
that.
1.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they end up becoming the other three of the quad
The four leaders or whatever they are, the gym leaders.
They're all kind of like trapped entities. Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. But yes, so let's talk about the end of Act 1. These three cards start dropping hints and talking to you. They compel you to find the film, and they say, we need to take a picture of Leshy.
Well, what happens the first time is that when you beat Leshy says, okay, yeah, you won, but fuck off, and essentially restarts the entire loop, but you keep your memories this time.
And the first time you beat him, found footage just pops up.
Camera stuff.
This weirded me out.
Yep.
That was a holy shit moment for me. I had to put the controller down. I had to go outside, have a cigarette. I had to call my mom. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, this is not at all what I imagined.
Mommy, can I sleep in your bed tonight?
And you've been hearing this character's voice too.
Yeah.
Because like when you hit continue, like I guess I'll see what this game's about. You hear a voice say that, and then when you beat Leshy, you hear Luke actually say, "Oh, I finally beat him." And then you get these found footage things of the Lucky Carter. You get a number of videos, and it's just someone opening packs of cards, and they talk about the Inscryption card game. He pulls out a card that was in a pack that was already open that has coordinates on it.
I don't quite understand the metatextual idea of this being a card game that already existed, then being put into a video game form made by what is it called? Fumatech?
It's about Hitler's dead body. Trust me.
Wow.
We'll get there.
Oh.
No, there is a whole bunch to this story to get to that point.
I guess I didn't look into that hard.
No, this was all revealed ARG style much later.
Really?
Yeah.
You fuck off.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm now I am so intrigued.
Yeah, there's a whole Reddit rabbit hole where people basically found code hidden inside the game that gave you a lot more previous context. It's absolutely wild. But a lot of that structure as far as the storytelling is also based on some of those creepypastas I mentioned before. So for a long time online, there would be these horror stories that would say, oh, I found this like off the beaten path copy of Pokemon, but it didn't look like a regular Pokemon cartridge, and I got it in the yard or at a yard sale, and they said something very creepy to me, and then actually it was haunted. Like, this is actually something that is very in the structure of old creepypastas. So as soon as it was like, oh, I got these cards at a yard sale and now it has these coordinates, I was losing it because I used to read stories like this all the time. Like, it's very much following that structure.
But I'm also reminded of the cringe factor of the really bad ones. Like, I was playing my copy of Mario 3 after my brother died, and Mario's eyes started to bleed.
Sign me up. I'll take it. But in the vein of creepypasta, Luke finds coordinates on the card, written on one of the cards, and he goes there in the video. This is found footage. This is a YouTube channel, essentially. And he digs up a floppy disk that has Inscryption. And we'll briefly just mention the ARG right now. Players in the real world actually went to the same coordinates, which is on an island in Vancouver, and they dug up a floppy disk that had part of the clues in there.
Are you fucking kidding me? They actually buried it?
They were actually buried at the same coordinates. 2 people went and found them.
That is a level of... That's actually genius.
Oh, yeah. There's some of the ARG is not genius. It's fucking insanity. But the early ones that started are pretty straightforward. But you use the film after you beat Leshy again. He turns the whole card into a board. It's fucking epic. It feels final bossy. Mm-hmm. But then you have the film and you take a picture of Leshy, and this makes him into a card, and you can now reclaim new game mode, which is...
Well, you forgot that quote-unquote final boss battle where you're actually transported to outside of the cabin, and then you re-enter the cabin even though you're already someone who's inside the cabin, and then he summons the moon down.
Brilliant.
That's
so good.
It is so cinematic, that whole walk to the cabin, and then all of a sudden you get hit with the giant hand that is going to give you your boon reaching out, and you trying to get that, and then the purple fucking moon and Leshy staring at it. It is so cinematic. I loved it. Perfect lead up to a boss battle.
Mm-hmm. And yes, you can reclaim new game mode, which is the blinking in the cabin is the new game that was locked there. So the game we are playing is that floppy disk that Luke found. We'll get a little ahead of ourselves here. The floppy disk, when Hitler's body was found, there was a pack of cards, I'll get the name later, of the very first card game ever made. And that's a true card game in the world. And with like a secret, the old code is what it was called, like the old text was written on there.
Kind of an eldritch thing.
There was an undercover American spy. He found this, put it onto a blank disc, and then just put it with a whole box of them. That pack of discs wound up at this card game company, and they made the game as a way to hide the code. And there's more. There's a lot to it.
I just think they know something about a connection between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Hitler in our world.
That's where we're getting. No,
because
no.
There are Yu-Gi-Oh! References in this like crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the very end, during the credit sequence, there's a straight-up Yu-Gi-Oh! Armband.
Yeah. It's wild.
It references a lot of different card games in a fun way.
It references some Magic the Gathering, yeah.
But essentially, the person who was murdered, where Luke gets a card from, she played this game to the point where once one of the characters finds the old code, they're able to rewrite the game inside. Mm-hmm. So Leshy took the game that we were playing, made it into a 3D game. The other characters are locked up. And this was a way to make sure that the game was stuck in a loop and the old code would be safe. Mm-hmm. By us continuing the game after we found it, we got the new game and we started over. So it resets the game back to its original state. And later on, once you get to Act 3, it turns into a different game. So Act 2, you just all of a sudden, you're in little 8-bit Pokemon the trading card game is what it was to me.
It actually has like a very similar layout with like the gyms located on different corners of each side.
Yeah.
It was I was like, whoa, okay. All right.
This, I think, is a pretty difficult thing for some people, this transition.
It deflated me incredibly. I was so down with the creepypasta, the weird aesthetic, the 3D game. I loved Leshy's cabin. Then transporting into the 8-bit top-down Pokemon-looking ass shit I was like, no, this is not my game. But I kept playing, but was not happy about it.
I think what works is that. Go ahead.
No, please.
Well, I think it's because you're wanting more of the Luke Carter mystery then, and that's the hooks that got me to keep moving.
That's the only reason I kept playing, but I liked the 3D. I liked the presentation of the card game in Leshy's Cabin versus the way it played originally in the 8-bit mode. How you are randomly selected a card. You can't choose between your deck and your side deck. Like, there was times where I would take a squirrel trying to build to something, and then when you get into the 8-bit mode, you're just given a card.
It's much different. You have essentially 4 different play styles now. There are 4 scribes: Remora, Scribe of the Dead; Magnificus, the Scribe of Magic; P03, the Scribe of Technology; and Leshy, the Scribe of Beasts. I'm like, okay, I know him anyways. But you have to choose which scribe you want to supplant, and then you get cards based on that. And Leshy's plays like sacrifices, but all the other cards have their own rules. And to me, this was the most confusing part, is having to play with all the different card rules together.
Yeah. It works, but it's complicated.
Yeah, and kind of what you were saying, for me, it wasn't the top-down style that threw me off, and seeing, in fact, the opening video for the game and finding out who the other cards were, because as we mentioned, the Stoat and the Stink Bug and the Wolf start transforming more and more in that first phase of the game. So figuring out, these are the other scribes, that I loved. It was the thing that you just mentioned, Brad, of suddenly there were all these other play styles. It took me so long to get used to the sacrifices style, and I feel like for so much of us there was that investment in getting to know all the sigils, that when suddenly there were all these other play styles, and not only did you have a really difficult time mix and matching them, but you weren't given any of the other context and just kind of had to hope that you were understanding how they worked. Like, that was the thing that really threw me.
I don't know who everyone else chose right away. I chose Magic Guy.
I think I did too. Yeah, I chose Magic Guy, which was
the most interesting.
But you had to use like 3 different kinds of energy to power your mages, which really confused me at first.
It actually functioned like a lot of different games I've played, so I kind of zeroed right in.
Yeah, it made sense in my brain.
Yeah, but there's 4 different scribes, and the point of the game is you're supposed to go beat all 4 of them. In the background, there is like a side plot where the angler's like, I'm looking for the old code down here. And if
all of them seem to be looking for it.
Yeah.
In their own specific way. Like P03, he dredges the bottom of the water to try and look for it.
Yep. Yeah.
I like P03. He's fun.
Yes. All of the different characters have their own kind of like gym. It's like a gym. You fight 3 different other enemies and you collect more cards. There's little puzzles inside of all of them, and you can there is some other like hidden things in this act, like the mycologists are hidden in between Leshy and Gramora's area. Bring 4 sets of certain duplicates to receive the mycologist's key. And this key leads to a secret boss later on, if you find it. There is the Bone Lord in the basement of Gramora's lair. These are things that I didn't find in the game.
No, I didn't find any of that.
A creature emerges from the sarcophagus and asks for an obol. The card trader will give you 2 broken obol cards. Play them next to each other. They fuse to form the obol. And then you can pledge fealty to the Bone Lord. He gives you a secret key, the Bone Lord's femur boon. Sure.
I'm just angry because I already pledged myself to the Bone Lord in real life, and why do I have to do it twice? It seems a little redundant.
We're going to take a quick break to hear from another amazing show from the Tokyo Beat Podcast Network, and we'll be right back.
In a world of podcasts, only 3 men are willing.
Well, dude, what are you doing, James?
You told me to do the promo for the podcast, right? That's what we're doing.
But I mean, we could actually tell people about what we are. I mean, we're the Famicast. We're a bi-weekly show. We talk about Nintendo and games in Japan. I'm Danny, and that was James. And we got another guy. Who are you again?
I'm the saboteur. I'm the henchman. I'm the interloper.
That's Ty. He is our anime trash expert. Digs around in some UFO catchers for. Check us out.
We're in Japan. We like Nintendo most of the time.
The Famicast, only on the Tokyo Beat Network.
Today's show was brought to you by EPOS Gaming Audio. With a comprehensive lineup of both wired and wireless headsets, gaming amplifiers, microphones, and webcams, EPOS has everything you need to experience the power of audio. Like their H6 Pro lineup, which features 2 versions, an open or closed headset. The closed headset allows you to tap into exceptionally detailed audio and seals out ambient noise, while the open version delivers natural high-fidelity audio with an incredible soundstage. Both headsets include a magnetic detachable microphone and a sleek design that has no wild RGB configurations, just good design. Listeners can save 15% by visiting www.eposaudio.com/gaming and entering code EPOSFRIEND15 at checkout. That is EPOSFRIEND15 at checkout.
I still think the best character that we got out of the entire 2D area that then carries on is so under Magnificus. There are different little plot lines for each of the areas. In Magnificus's area, the mini bosses you fight are all people who have pledged their fealty to this magical lord and have said, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And one of them has been in a void, interacting with nothing and no one, and just craves stimulation of some kind. And he stays for the entire rest of the game. And that is my favorite character. Yeah, that's the lone wizard. So, and then later becomes the card with just the huge eyes that constantly says, I crave stimulation. Yes, use me on the board.
Is he the one who's in like that infinite space?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I forget. There's so many.
I played this in December, so
yeah,
and my memory is just becoming trash. So I don't know.
And he's in an infinite space, and then when you beat him, he's like, "All right, well that was awesome. That was not nothingness." So when you beat the master, can you come back through here and say hi?
So lonely. That's so cool.
You get some more Luke videos as you beat the bosses. After you beat Magnificus, Luke emails Game Funa. The game developers vehemently deny everything and threaten legal action immediately. A woman from the company shows up. He then contacts the garage sale person where he bought it, and it was her daughter's cards who passed away working for Game Funa in a mysterious fire. Her name was Casey Hobbs, and you even find a NPC named Casey in the game, as well as a Casey card, which looks like a death card for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get a
and
Casey
it's the very
card
first death card that's introduced in the very first round of the game. Yeah.
Yep, and that's because we are continuing her game. She's the one who played the new game to get to where Leshy had gotten control of it, because she knew Leshy is just like, doesn't care. He'll just play cards forever. He has no goals of world's aspirations, so Leshy's the good guy, I guess.
Well, that's what's cool about all of them specifically. Like, that is such good storytelling to start you off in kind of what could be described as maybe in a straightforward narrative in Act 2.
Yeah.
Or like a sequel, essentially. It's like you're playing the sequel to something that's happened before. I just think that rules. I love it's like in media res almost.
It's just really good non-linear writing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rather than having to do a flashback, you just experience. I mean, because the game takes place in a game, you don't have a conventional timeline to play with. So you can be like, all right, you're this person, and then we're going to character change you at some point, and we're not even going to let you know.
Mm-hmm. And the whole time, we're actually just Luke Carter playing the game, too.
Well, that would make sense why after you beat Leshy the first time and you start hearing his voice more and more, that's the voice you hear.
And then once you start seeing the videos, you recognize that as his voice, too.
Well, did you notice it might have been like the first time you get reset before you find like the film roll and everything. You can look in the corner of the room and there's just a bunch of corpses of you.
I didn't know
I
that.
did not know that.
Yeah. There's a
You didn't
whole
notice that?
pile of all the corpses of the previous U's that have died. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, there's a shitload of them. And they're all wearing like fedoras for some reason. Very strange.
Very Chad of them.
It's good luck, Indiana Jones fans. Yes. So you find out about Casey Hobbs after you defeat the 4 scribes. P03 has found the old data, not the old code, the old data by dredging the water. And then no matter what happens, you defeat the 4 scribes. No matter you choose P03 interrupts. He plays a glitched card made from the old data, and the game completely breaks down. And glitches out, initiating Act 3, where all of a sudden you're playing Botopia.
Yes, so just real quick.
Okay.
I was told that this was not a very long game. I know we've heard that before.
I mean, it's not that long.
It's not that long. And so I was at about 12 hours in. And I was like, okay, I got like 8 hours of spare time in the next 2 days. I probably can beat this game after work. So I played 4 hours a night after work, both nights. Had to get through then I'm in Stoat's world, whatever.
Yeah.
The excitement that I felt when the game totally changed to 5 lanes and now we're in Stoat's world. I'm going to call him Stoat because that's what it's in my brain as.
Sure.
The excitement that I felt that the game has changed again, son of a bitch, it did it, and I'm excited, versus I'm never going to fucking beat this game in time for the fucking podcast on Sunday, was like the scale in the game.
Yeah. I may have been dredging up false memories. To me, it did not feel like I spent that long in this game, and I think that's a credit to the game itself. But I guess I never looked at the run time.
I looked at the time yesterday. I think I'm at like 18 hours. It doesn't feel like I've played 18 hours
No, I
because
know.
it does play very fast. I've enjoyed the game immensely.
And that's why I also say it's not that long of a game, because I could have dealt with more.
Now at this point, this is where I'm getting into uncharted territory, and this is the most conflicted I've ever been because I
Okay.
don't want spoilers, but
You
I'm
have to.
here for it.
It's okay. It's not going to ruin what the game is. There are some emotional moments that are interesting, but I would say that it
nice
actually
thing is-
starts to ramp down.
Yeah, I was going to say at this point, you've seen a lot of the really, really big reveals. There's like 1 or 2 little things after this point. But once you get into Stoat's area, they really have set you up for most of the major reveals. And it's just the last like tying up of the loose ends.
Okay,
So,
that makes me
yeah.
feel a lot better. Last night going to bed, I was like, all right, I got to get up early. I got to play this. On the drive here, I was like, I have never been this distraught for not finishing a game to talk about it.
It really breaks
but
down
that
to
makes me feel a lot better.
It breaks down to a lot of handshakes.
A lot
Yep,
of handshakes.
That's not even a lie. There are a lot of handshakes.
P03 is
Poe.
Po3. Poe.
Is that
Stoat.
actually what it is?
No one's ever called him Poe. but
P03, a backwards E.
I'm going to go with P03. Is
Such a noob.
is a little bit more bossy than Leshy. Leshy's very laid back, like let's play cards. P03 is a little more insistent that things get done. At some point, the game runs out of a charge, and you have to get up to like go find another battery, I think is what it is. So you get to explore P03's like little robot factory, and it's got similar puzzles there. The clock from the original Act 1 shows up, and he's like, don't worry about that. The data's weird. You can't fix it.
We're a work in progress over here at Poe Industries.
Poe Industries, you bastard.
He also, what's funny about, I'm going to call him Poe.
Poe works.
I like Poe. The cool thing about Poe is that he tries to kind of be like Leshy in like his presentation, but he doesn't have the charisma.
It's like a little brother trying to imitate the older brother.
Yeah, it's like some wannabe loser trying to be the guy from Saw.
I always saw it as like someone who was told, all right, so the next D&D campaign, you've always been the player. You're now going to GM. And then being like, I fucking hate it, though, because he keeps you on such hard railroading. Like,
yeah.
It felt like that D&D reference of Lacey is the storyteller that's like, there are all these different directions you can choose, and it's threatening, but in a good way. And Poe is like, I don't give a shit. No, wait, you're going the wrong way. You're supposed to go that direction. And there is literally a point where he's like, no, you don't go that way. And he blocks off a path, so you're forced to go a different direction, which is hilarious.
I love it. Yeah, Poe, he tells you right away, we're working towards the great transcendence. And that's Poe's secret plan. You do get to go up and explore his building a little bit. Like I mentioned, like there's moving blocks puzzles, CAPTCHA puzzles. You get the Fishbot card there, which is the angler. The cuckoo clock returns. The totem and the green ooze is kind of fun. You have to enter this secret area, and then you find the green ooze drawing a picture of his master. And he's like, is it good? And you say it's good, and he like thinks you're making fun of him. And then he feels really distraught, and you have to leave and then come back in and tell him it's good again. He's like, you came back. It's weird.
It's strange.
But then the ooze agrees to talk with the master. Even I'm reading my notes, and I'm like, this shit's out of control here. There is a secret boss in Act 3. If you've earned the mycologist key in Act 2, there's a waypoint between the beast and the dead area. You have to hit down right, where before you could only hit down and right. You actually have to do a diagonal you don't know about. And the mycologists are obsessed with experimenting on cards to figure out the Carnoffel code.
Is that where there's like a purple lock on the door?
This is in Botopia, actually.
Yeah. Like right by where the respawn machine where you can check the map.
I think that might be right.
Maybe.
And yeah. So I thought I had to go over to the map and hit X to see where I was. And all of a sudden I dashed off screen and like went diagonally. And there's a purple lock on a big ass door. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I realized that I don't have to listen to the arrows. So then I started going back through areas and finding clips and shit.
There are other ones, huh?
There's image files from the Lucky Carter and Casey.
You know, it's weird. We get a different game because we're playing on consoles.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Wait, really?
The mycologist.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, you will get the Mycobot card from beating them, but they mentioned the Carnoffel code. Carnoffel is the very first card game ever created. That's the Carnoffel pack that Hitler had on his dead body.
So is this canon or is that true?
Carnoffel is the first card game ever.
And was it on Hitler's body? Is that a fact?
I wasn't there.
Okay. We started talking Hitler earlier, and I was like, let me nail this down real quick.
So the answer was no. I don't think he was concerned with Carnoffel. I think he shot his wife and his dog and then took a pill.
That's probably it. But maybe he had a secret old data card.
What they had to kill time in the bunker.
I don't know.
I think crying for your life takes up a lot of time.
But
let's play a card game to get our mind off of it.
Go fish. But Hitler did have a fascination with...
You are the old maid, Hitler.
He did have a fascination with the occult, though, so it's... I can see where they extrapolate...
Yeah, the Thule Society and all that shit.
Every Indiana Jones plot off of that.
Pretty much.
The bosses are very fun in Botopia because whether or not you realize it, Poe is getting you to yield control of your computer. Now, the archivist, in order to do the battle, it says grant permission to use your hard drive. And that weirded me out.
I said no. I was like, fuck you.
Have you beaten him?
The first boss? Yeah.
Okay, because the archivist, you do have to yield permission.
No, you don't. I said no, and then he said, thank you. And I was like, wait a minute, man.
I think he did anyways,
Yeah.
maybe.
Because I was like, fuck you, you're a boss. No, I'm not helping you.
Now, for those that played on the computer, on the consoles, I was looking at my own not my own files. I was looking at like pre-made Luke Carter files. Are they actually your files if you play on the computer?
Here's the terrifying thing. It specifically duplicates several of your biggest folders. So it had my folder that had a bunch of my Shadow of the Colossus data and things like that. So the first time, I think they say pick one of your biggest files. So I went, all right, great. And I had this big Shadow of the Colossus platinum run that was like a 7-hour run. So it was a huge data file. And I used that and it based the scores off of that. And then it's like, great, choose a small one. And there was one that I didn't recognize what it was or what it did. It was a small file. And I went, great. And they were like, great, we'll permanently destroy this if you lose. And everyone in my chat lost their shit because it is apparently one of the like key files that you need in order for your computer to even function. And I didn't realize it was fake. So I suddenly was like, this game went from casual to legitimately real world terrifying in about 0.5 seconds. So it fully pulls from that. And then another one of the fights, basically makes you face your friends, and it pulls from your friends on Steam, who you are facing off against, which was also terrifying. Yeah.
Brad yelled at me one night.
Yeah, I was playing one battle, and all of a sudden, Ruby and Dylan are on the other team, and I found it very upsetting because they took the Switch friend card. So there's cards with your little like Switch profile pictures, and Sarah Greenwood was in there too.
Yeah.
I was like, leave me alone, guys. But the consoles...
You sent me a Dylan, you bastard. I'm like, I don't know, I didn't do it.
The consoles have little things as well, but I think like a lot of these features are just a little richer in the PC version.
Yeah, in the PC version, playing with files, duplicating files, or like creating like stand-ins for files that don't actually exist, that can actually like fuck with you. That's almost kind of like in the realm of like fake insanity in video games, like Eternal Darkness did that a lot. If you play it now, you're not going to be fooled by the CRT bars of volume going up and down, and you're not going to be fooled by a fly buzzing across the screen.
Yeah.
So I like what it's doing in the context of now, but I don't know if this would hold up in the future.
I can't imagine the feeling of seeing your own files, like seeing your own like Shadow of the Colossus like
speed run, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like delete this precious file. I was like, whoa, wait, what? What are we doing? Because I didn't feel as invested seeing Luke Carter's personal files. Naturally, that doesn't mean as much because it's part of the game. But if you see your own shit in there, I'm like, did I give them permission? Which is important to the plot as well.
And I didn't even think, like what Ruby said earlier, playing on a PC when you hit those milestones and it looks like the game is, your hard drive is corrupting. On PlayStation, I was like, whatever. But if I was playing on a PC, I would have freaked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely lost it. And the thing I was about to ask is, did you all also get the Steam messages and notifications from friends while you were playing?
No, because you don't really have that. I played mine on the Switch, so it ended up I didn't get any of that.
What about you, Ruby?
Yeah, so there is one particular fight or one moment where I was actually in a voice chat with a friend, and suddenly as I was doing this fight, and it doesn't want you to exit out of the game, I kept getting messages from a friend on Steam with invites and saying, hey, pay attention to me. And it was my friend in the chat. And I was like, dude, you know I'm playing Inscryption. And he started laughing his ass off and was like, Ruby, that's the game. And the game literally reproduces who it sees as your friends who are online and sends you fake invites and messages from them repeatedly until you pay attention to it. And then when you go back, the game essentially laughs at you and resets that part of the fight. It's
fucking
wild. Yeah, it's so really cool.
That would have freaked me the hell out.
Well, and during one battle, you have to create a card for somebody else to use, and this card gets sent out to another person actively playing the game, and you have to wait. Like, I waited maybe like 5 minutes. They're like, this battle's taking a while. Just let them play. And they're like, oh, the other player lost with your card. Too bad for you. And then I got penalized for it. Later, I received a card from a player, and it just was called, like, Big Butt Boy or something. And I'm like, perfect. And I won with the card. But you actually, like, you're making cards for somebody else to actively use in the game. Or at least it's putting the idea of it up.
Yeah.
Which I think it must have been real.
I think that is a multiplayer element. And I think you can opt in or out for that. And I bet they have pre-made ones that they send towards you.
So Golly is one of the final bosses, and Golly requests internet access. This is a big part of Poe's plot. So that's how they use photos from your friends list and the card from the other players online. After the fourth Uberbot, which are the bosses in Botopia, images and text begin appearing in-game from Luke's life. Now, that was at least on console. Was it your own pictures, Ruby, or was it just like Luke's personal files popping up in Botopia? Do you remember?
That one, it was Luke's. I think this was one of the moments where it was trying to specifically drop the meta information, kind of like how in previous points, suddenly it's the camcorder of Luke's videos. So yeah, this was 100% like pictures of Luke. This was not pictures of me. Good God, I would have been terrified.
For them to have access to your personal photos is actually kind of a breach. They're not just making copies of files, like basically just the file look itself, like the thumbnail. To have actual photos, to give them permission to use that's insane. Because you could have like pictures on there.
Yep, like your like your fan art that you create of video games.
You could have a folder called Tax Return 2015 Do Not Open, all caps.
And it's delete.
Yeah.
At the end, though, P03 requests that you go check out a security camera in his factory. You go down like an elevator, and you find Grimora, Leshy, and Magnificus. Glorious 3D versions of them waiting for you. They tell you to keep playing so that they can stop P03 from uploading his version of the game to the internet. P03, Poe's plan is
to trap everyone in the game.
To upload the old data to the world, which would have catastrophic consequences. But P03 wants to break out. Well, you go back to P03, and then during this final battle, Leshy shows up and rips fucking P03's head off. We're in your territory now, Tyler.
Nice.
Yep. It's great. Leshy coming in and just doing that big move I loved. And Grimora chooses to delete the game. And you see the game being deleted. And as it's being deleted, you play through... you play cards with like each individual... character again, but in like 3D versions. So you get like a taste of what Grimora's 3D world would look like. And then you get to go, you see Leshy again. And Leshy is actually nostalgia. Like at this point, I love Leshy and he's my boy. And I'm just like...
And all the assets are disappearing as you do it.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. The bell disappears, your items disappear, and then the scales disappear, but you're still playing anyway. It doesn't matter anymore.
And Leshy's like, I don't even care. Let's just keep playing. I'm like, okay, buddy.
You got it.
You got it.
It felt like this Last Supper sharing moment of, hey, we may be gone and this is the right thing to do. Let's enjoy these last few moments staring at the sunset. It was very bizarre how things that terrify you in the beginning of the game have come to feel like home by the end of it. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, it felt good seeing Leshy again. And it felt good. Magnificus, their battle is very much Yu-Gi-Oh, where they actually, you see your arm and it's got the thing, and it turns into like a PS1 RPG where like you the characters, like the camera starts moving around, and you get these little tastes of what all of the games could have been like for these different characters had they obtained the old data. After the last fight, you walk forward to the woodcarver who has the old data, and they tell you, don't look at it. I know you're not going to listen anyways, but apparently the game will delete itself. We jump out into Luke Carter again. He pulls the floppy disk out and he smashes it. He sees something in the old data. We just get like pops up of like files, and then we don't know what happens. Luke contacts a reporter and says he's found something important. And then there's a knock at the door, and Luke is shot by the lady from Game Funa. Tyler, sorry.
Oh man,
You get axed.
Well, I mean, I could have beaten it if I would have stayed up till 6 rather than going to bed at 4, because it sounds like I was real close.
You're pretty close.
Yeah.
The ending goes on a little bit longer than you think it will, though, too. And you don't want to rush it. You want to be there feeling good, because it's like Ruby, like you said, it's like glorious going off into the sunset. You don't want to be like tired. So Luke is shot. Apparently, the old data is something of great evil that needs to be kept hidden. The data allowed the game characters to become sentient, and it turned a floppy disk game into a 3D version. We're left with... Thank you so much. I'm going to just do this real quick. Keep talking, Tyler.
It's weird how... Wasn't there something like the nuclear codes were stored on a floppy disk?
Yes.
Am I misremembering that?
It was usually like an encrypted floppy disk.
I get a lot of vibes from that here, like how the game was going, like they were all going to become sentient, and Poe wanted to take over the world, and it all starts with a floppy disk. It's
what's most interesting about it is its mystical elements and mind control, essentially. So this could be like something that if people just started opening this across the world, they'd all be kind of sucked into it.
Yeah.
And that'd be the moment of control.
There is about 4 pages I have describing the ARG. We're not going to read through it all.
Oh, please don't. I'm interested, but no.
I'll describe a little bit of how it works, though.
Okay.
The first segment of the ARG began with a momentary detail in one of the Luke Carter video segments. During one of his like unhinged moments, you can see a code written on the table that says mycologist 12, perhaps blood letter box.
On the napkin?
Yep.
Okay.
Which
yeah.
I froze too.
I froze too, yep.
Yep.
The mycologist 12. So that's 3 different things you need to find for this passcode.
You guys know what a mycologist is, right?
They study mushrooms, fungus.
Correct.
So you have to go to the mycologist boss fight. Upon the conclusion, the mycologist merges 2 cards together to create a custom mycobot with the name with a bunch of numbers. Refers to a fragment of the old data. Take those 12 digits, put it back there. Perhaps is referencing a name in the credits where it says a beeper perhaps. Louis Nathus is called Beeper. So there is stuff in all of Daniel Mullins' games, very obscure things. And the Bone Lord in Act 2, to access a secret cutscene, you have to change the screen resolution to letterbox, and then additional text is seen above the Blood Lord model to access the third part of the code. All right, we have the answer. With all 3 parts of this code, you need to, during the startup sequence of Act 2, when it's like doing all of like the code loading, you can actually interrupt it by pressing Control-C on your keyboard to interrupt it, and then you can enter your own commands. And then you enter your password, and then you get more information about Barry Wilkinson, and you get message chat logs. Then there are 2 more passwords that involve 6 more puzzles. I won't go through all of this. Eventually, you find out about a Kaminsky data storage website. Fans flooded the website. 3 people were sent floppy disks from this website. Those floppy disks together, plus the GPS coordinates of the real floppy disks found in real life. A whole bunch of stuff, guys. I'm serious. There's a good YouTube video. I don't like the game theory guy, but his video is pretty good.
Matt Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got opinions on a lot of public figures. I'll choose to keep them quiet.
Essentially, though, the end of all of this, you learn that Barry Wilkinson was the spy who found this on Hitler's body, or found the old data that Russians found on Hitler's body, sent it out to Game Funa. Casey found it. She created this game around trying to control it. She figured out Leshy was the best way to stop the game. You continue the game she left off. But the final, all of the clues of the ARG together gives you a YouTube website link. You go there, and it's just Luke Carter's screen with the Stoat slowly loading and like smiling. The Stoat was able to upload the game. It is revealed that the game that you downloaded on Steam or on your consoles are the versions that Stoat uploaded. You're unwittingly helping Stoat spread the old data by playing the game.
Holy shit. Did you know this, Ruby?
No, this part I did not know. I was told that if you don't have a lot of experience with this kind of coding or very specific game breaking, that there are a ton of Reddit forums that explore this, and the people who like got the physical versions of the floppy disks made one specifically to document their experience, along with like some of the additional code that people found in the game with extra story stuff. But I didn't know what the story actually was of the ARG.
Whoa.
So that's wild.
That is insane.
There's like
Yeah, that's cool.
15 more steps that I didn't mention because I got really esoteric. Like you had to go to like Reddit message boards to find a comment from 6 years ago that the creator made about a failed game.
I love video games, right? I really love video games. They are my favorite form of escapism. Shows, movies, music, they can bite it in comparison. One of the things that I don't understand is that if you're this talented and you go this far, you're so much smarter than me. And what are you doing in the real world? Because you could get like a job doing shit like this. Like, I get how it's a fun like hobby, but if I were this smart, I'd be doing something with it.
And to me, it's just the power of the internet. When you get
an
army of gamers working on something together, they will destroy anything.
But I'm like, man, I'd just be working for the CIA or something. They get paid really well.
So I did
All the acid you want.
I did write
Join CSA.gov.
a complete plot summary, but I think we got through all of it pretty well. Yeah, Casey was killed by Game Funa. The ARG reveals the game being uploaded in a picture of Stoat on a computer screen. There is an exclusive console ARG that's the origins of Plasma Jimmy, which I don't know what that means, but it's only available on the consoles.
The sequel to his Moses Jones.
Yeah. And that's
really good.
That was Inscryption.
That's really good.
I unfortunately haven't beaten the game, but big thank you to everybody who suggested we play this. I cannot even begin to express how much fun I've had and will continue to have because I'm going to beat the game. I'm trying to set up a night where my brother will come over and we're going to play it because I know he would like it.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking love this game.
It's really good.
The
It's
first
incredible.
time I got that found footage, that was a holy shit moment that I did not see coming. It was like a curveball.
And you're a horror boy, so
I know. Yes, this found footage is like, oh, it's right in my lane.
Yeah.
I was eating it up.
Oh yeah, I was eating good.
Yeah.
I was just going like, huh? Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh. And if a game can get me to do stuff like that, it's not just like, oh, because I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077 and I'm just like, oh.
That's how I feel with Assassin's Creed Odyssey right now.
Just like, yeah, more of this, huh? I think what I'm starting to realize is that these indie games are where the true artists are allowed to shine. They're not making just a product. They're creating an experience, like this tailored thing. I think that's the whole theme of Indie Games Month, is that these are people who are so passionate about their work, and it's such a small, like, endeavor to begin with that they create something fantastic with it. And then that's what more and more people are starting to want, these small catered experiences, a little more niche, a little more like off book.
You never see a game like this from a AAA.
You would never, but I would love to see. I would love to see what this guy did with a AAA budget, because he could become like the next Kojima.
Well, yeah, Kojima is the closest thing to a AAA developer
Yes.
who's making things like this.
Yeah, making the game that they want without any reservations.
Yeah,
I love it.
This game was a great surprise to me.
Yeah.
As Indie Games Month does every year, I find some new games that I love in different ways, and this was completely unlike anything I've played before. And Daniel Mullins is a madman. I can't wait to see what he does next. And I asked him to come on the podcast, and he replied, like, I'm very busy making my next game, and I don't want to talk about Inscryption. I'm like, I get it. You probably get hounded with questions about this game like crazy.
And you told him that?
I didn't say that. I said, thanks, you're awesome. And he said, thanks for the kind words. But yeah, this game blew my mind. And I just love Leshy. I love that creeper, that little creepy cabin boy now. I want to just go play cards.
Also, we didn't need Daniel Mullins. We have got Ruby.
Aw, thanks. Well, I was going to say one thing I would love to hear, because this is one of my favorite things about this game, is I feel like every single person, when getting to that final Leishi fight or making that final push, found a strategy, some kind of trick with the cards that's just was a big brain play. So what, for you all, as far as the card game, what was your favorite big brain play? What was the thing that really like set off the game for you?
Oh, I know mine. It was once I got the squirrel totem, and I got the once a animal dies or once an animal dies or is sacrificed, it's returned to your hand. So I stacked like 4 squirrels in my hand.
Infinity squirrels.
And then I could
Infinity
just
squirrels.
then the game was cake. I was just like, this is money.
I might have done something similar to that, but I know for a fact my main strategy in a lot of these games is to create an impenetrable wall. I had a lot of snapping turtles.
Didn't even realize that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Snapping turtles with the spikes.
Yeah.
They have reach, right? Inherently.
Well, eventually you can get them to like, I had a few that had like dive or whatever. Yeah.
My trick was the Mantis God card with the tri attack. I got that onto one of my death cards and had 0 costs and like 3/5 attack, and I just cleaned house with that. Yeah, and if you're using the tools right, I found that worked out pretty well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about him for a long time, and then I was popping eyeballs and pulling teeth like it was going out of style.
Crazy.
I mean, you're not even real in the game, so it's fine. You're not sacrificing anything.
Yeah, I got plenty of teeth.
Now, we're going to rank this game.
I don't know.
But before we do, Ruby, if our listeners wanted to find some of your amazing content, how could they do so?
Absolutely. So I am a actor, speedrunner, interviewer. You can find me at twitch.tv/RubieHart. So that is RubieHart. I speedrun anything from big boss games like Shadow of the Colossus, Titan Souls, The Pathless, Solar Ash, to really fun co-op games like Overcooked 2 and Phasmophobia. And I'm constantly adding more to that list because I like pain, I guess. So you can check me out there. I also do Let's Plays. So right now I am playing through the Last of Us series with my wonderful partner, Jamie Flanagan, who you may have heard on a previous episode of Hair of the Dogcast on Popcorn Dogs.
If you're listening, Jamie, we love you and you're great.
Yeah, Jamie,
man.
Jamie, you're freaking awesome, and I love you. What? But they're an incredible writer who has worked on projects like Midnight Mass, The Midnight Club, Haunting of Bly Manor, and the upcoming Fall of the House of Usher. And right now we are in big support of SAG and WGA being on strike so that they are properly paid by studios, because fuck not
Power to the
being
people.
properly paid by studios.
Hair of the Dogcast openly supports the SAG-AFTRA.
Violently, we violently support.
And we don't have to write because we're just idiots who talk.
But solidarity, and yes, big power to that. And thank you so much for joining us today, Ruby.
Absolutely.
Oh, it was a pleasure. I love this game. More people should get into it. And if you haven't played Pony Island, I know that was mentioned earlier, but you like the vibe of Inscryption, go back and play Pony Island. It's so good.
The fact that it's called Pony Island, it was someone had recommended it to me before. I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't sound like it's my game. But after hearing it's from Daniel Mullins, I'm like, I think I need to play Pony Island. We're going to rank this game. Ruby, if you don't know how this works, we have a list. If you haven't played the game we're ranking it against, abstain from voting. If we get a tie, we'll do rock, paper, scissors, but we'll see what happens here. Inscryption or Dredge?
Inscryption.
I will go Inscryption.
I have not played Dredge, so I cannot participate, but I love Inscryption.
Inscryption or Disco Elysium?
Oh.
I'm going to give it to Inscryption.
Ooh.
I'm going to do it. It's better
I have to abstain.
Inscryption is just actually a better video game.
Okay. Disco Elysium is an incredible visual novel.
Yes.
It does a wonderful job of exploring both detective noir and the horrible ramifications of alcoholism and trying to pave your way to a better life. Like, amazing game, play it. But I would say as a game, I do have to go Inscryption here.
Okay.
Agreed. Inscryption or Final Fantasy VIII?
Inscryption.
Oh my God.
This is Dylan's game.
I have a tattoo of Final Fantasy VIII.
Doesn't get ruled by nostalgia often, but FF8 will rule over Dylan forever.
It came at a critical point in my life. I'm still going to give it to Inscryption. I'm going to be fair.
I agree. Inscryption or Cuphead?
Inscryption.
Cuphead.
Inscryption.
Cuphead.
Now what do we do here?
You two do a rock, paper, scissors. So you go rock, paper, scissors, and then say what it is.
Rock, paper, scissors, rock.
Rock, paper, scissors, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, rock. Rock, paper, scissors.
I got it.
He won.
Got it.
Cuphead has won.
Damn, that was good.
You know the psychology behind it. That's good.
The last battle we have is Inscryption or Super Monkey Ball.
Inscryption.
Inscryption.
Super Monkey Ball, but that will not seal the deal. Inscryption is number 17 on our list.
Woo!
Yes. Very good. And with that, Indie Games Month is at an end. What a wonderful month of gaming it's been here for us.
There's a very realistic chance that next July we will be talking about Hades 2.
If it's out by then.
Could be.
We could also be talking about Hollow Knight Silk Song.
It better be Silk Song better be out. I'm just so
The longer they don't talk, the funnier I think it is.
yeah, and I'm not going to rush them. Make a good product.
Yes, so Indie Games Month is done. Next week, the Dogcast returns to discuss gaming news, Game Pass, Spartacus, and how Chad Xbox has won a major battle. And following that, Elden Dogs has Jack Packard on to discuss the history of Ronnie in Elden Ring. That episode has been available for 3 weeks for our Patreon members. So if you're interested in getting access to our episodes early, check out patreon.com/hairthedogcast. Lots of exclusive episodes, including our discussion of Midnight Mass. So if you liked our Jamie Flanagan episode, check that one out as well. And we exist because of people like you. So thank you. And executive producers, big thanks to you, Ryan, Christy, Nick, Kipper, Brian Ward, Jordan Hoff, and Phil Wright. We appreciate your support. And if you guys want, I have 4 pages describing the ARG. That's for you if you want to take it home and torture yourself, because it is out there, man. It is crazy.
No, I'll stick to Pikmin 4.
You emailed it, right?
Yeah, I emailed it. Yeah, but it's cool.
Well, thanks for joining us, Ruby. If there's ever a topic you really want to get in on, we'd love to have you on again.
Oh, I'd be happy to. Yeah, I know I was talking with Brad about this one because I'm obsessed with the Inscryption, and what you were saying about the Infinity Squirrels, That, and then the other big brain play I had was I had reached a point where most of my death cards, or a lot of my cards that I could get multiple sigils on, I had added the adder single kill. And the moon came up and I had a single adder in my hand and went So the 50 HP, I immediately killed it. I was so proud.
That's amazing.
That I didn't even know.
Yeah, there's so much to this game that we didn't even get to touch on too, because it's just there's a lot. It gives as much as you like look into. It keeps giving you more, which is a rare thing and very cool.
So extremely rare. Cyberpunk 27.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've done the same thing 1,000 times already, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah, but indie games, other games, yes. If you want me to come talk about games, I'm happy to. Yes, please.
Yes, please do. It was really nice meeting you.
Nice seeing you again.
It was really nice meeting you too. Nice seeing you again.